Tom, are you ready for Alien?
I am
Alien?
always ready for Alien.
Yes,
Always ready to celebrate Alien Day.
yes. Well, I hope everybody out there in YouTube land is ready to listen to us talk about it. But yeah, we this was your pick, Alien,
This is
and
my pick. This pick would have been inevitable anyway. I
yeah,
absolutely love
yes,
this movie.
yeah. I
But
would
the
have picked it
reason
if
I
you had.
chose it for this weekend is April 26th is traditionally Alien Day.
Okay,
And it's been designated Alien Day for two reasons. One, because according to the movie itself, Alien, the date that they land on the planet where the alien is found is April 26th.
cool,
And in addition to that, the planet, while never being really referred to by name in the movie, has been designated LV 426.
okay, all
So
right,
for various reasons, April 26th has been designated Alien Day, and I thought it was a very appropriate time to choose this movie.
nice, nice. Well, it's a great movie. I even just like I just like the logo where they on the movie poster where it said in space no one can hear you scream. So and they
It's
probably had one of the more terrifying alien encounters that in a sci-fi movie too. So that thing was just scary as hell. But
oh my God, it was something, it was brand new. Like I
yeah,
had never seen anything like that. I don't think many people had.
no, no,
And it was genuinely terrifying.
yeah, yeah. It was weird and mysterious too. I mean, just when they get down to the planet and they're looking over the planet and plus the they get that kind of that she realizes Sigourney Weaver's character, she realizes that it was actually really kind of a they were told it was a distress signal and they were heading to the planet for a distress signal, and which they were like contractually bound, I guess, to
Mhm.
answer a distress signal. And that when they get there, she realizes that the science officer, who's kind of got a whole thing going
The
on,
science officer.
yes, yeah, seriously. And says to him at one point, she says that actually was more of a warning to stay away, like not go there. But that's him right there behind me on the in the blue, and Ash is actually uh, quite a dangerous man. But
Quite a dangerous something.
yes, 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 true. He turns out to be not what he seems to be. He actually turns out to be some kind of an android being. And it's the other thing is I really didn't let you get through it too much, but this is a hell of a cast. I
Oh,
mean,
incredible cast.
yeah, it's Sigourney Weaver, of course, who really is the main star.
Sigourney
But
Weaver, Harry Dean Stanton.
yes, the great Harry Dean Stanton.
Love him in everything I've seen him
Yeah.
in.
Oh, he was always terrific. I mean, really cool actor. Whenever he was in a movie, he makes his mark. Um, but Tom Skerritt, um,
Yep. Yep. John
Veronica,
Hurt.
what's that?
John Hurt.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Veronica Cartwright, who has been in a lot of TV stuff, some movies, and I remember, way back seeing her in Daniel Boone when I was a little kid. The TV show. This is how old I am. Daniel Boone when she played like a teenage girl on that, and a little bit of trivia, she got fired from the show because the other actress who was kind of the one of the main stars was actually kind of jealous because she was getting like love scenes and love stories, and she said this is going to make me look old because she was playing a wife, and so she said either she goes or I do. So they got rid of her, which is kind of sad.
That's
But
Hollywood, though.
yeah, oh yeah, of course, stars and their egos and things like that. But Yaphet Kotto, that's another one.
Yep.
He's terrific, and he's terrific in this. I love the dynamic between him and Harry Dean Stanton too. They are funny, and they are also like real pains in the ass.
I mean, the thing is they really embody their role. You
Yeah,
feel these are real blue class, salt of the earth people
yeah.
who are thrust into this situation that is like, oh crap.
Well, to tell you the truth, I actually that was one of the things that I was really gonna say is I really felt like their characters were probably more realistic than any other character short of like Sigourney Weaver. Um, they um, they looked like they really looked the part. They played the part of just two guys that were low level techs and really kind of not only didn't want to be there, but they were just there for the money and they just wanted to get the hell out.
Mhm.
And it didn't work out that way. But terrific cast, terrific. I, I I love just the way the whole thing unfolded. You know, just how they got the kind of it was a wake up call really because they're in suspended animation. I don't know what the term is for it when you're, but they're in sleep mode, and they end up getting woken up, and that's the sleep pods that they're in.
Yeah,
Uh,
let me do a brief synopsis just in
sure.
case if it's at all possible that someone has not seen this movie.
Oh, I'm sure there has been people that haven't, but they if you haven't, you should.
So,
But yeah,
so,
give
so
it.
anyway, we find the crew of the Nostromo, which is
Yeah,
basically a industrial tugboat in space.
yeah,
And so these guys are basically space truckers. They're not, scientists. They're not really specialized in any way. They know their job, but it's not exploration and it's not research.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so they're coming back from a routine mission when they're woken up by the ship's computer, and it's determined that the computer has registered a distress call and they are contractually obligated to investigate. They
yeah,
they risk losing their money, as you said, if they do not. So, against their better judgment, they go into orbit around this planet, they take a shuttle down and they start exploring.
yeah, yeah,
They discover alien life, basically. They discover non-human evidence for non-human life.
and
And
it's
while down there exploring, one of the crew members runs afoul of one of these life forms and gets something attached to their face,
yeah,
affectionately known now as a face hugger.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
The
is taken back to the infirmary, and seemingly the face hugger falls off his face and he's fine until about a few hours later, when in one of the most memorable scenes in sci-fi history, something bursts from his chest and
right.
ultimately becomes a larger alien that stalks and tries to kill every single one of the crew members.
Yeah, yeah. And and the scene where because he gets when he gets the thing off his face, and that's another whole thing. They this is this actually it doesn't show it very well because I'm there it is right there.
Mhm.
That's the face hugger. And when he gets this thing on his face, um, Sigourney Weaver, who is probably the most professional of all of the people on board, she um, when they try to come back on board, she actually puts up a fight and says, "You guys need to stay in quarantine." And they're yelling at her, and even Dallas, the Tom Skerritt, the who's in charge, he's saying to her, "Let us in. This is we gotta save this guy. Let us back in." And she's like, "No, the rules are you're supposed to be in quarantine." And she's, "You know the rules."
I'm actually shocked that anyone else even wanted to be near this guy.
Yeah, yeah.
This is an incredibly foreign life form. They've never had any experience with it. It's already incapacitated one of their crew.
Well, and the very fact that it's on his face like that, and when they try to cut it, when they were just trying to grip it on his neck, it starts immediately like strangling. It's acting like it's a parasite, and it's much more than that. It turns out to be, but in fact, it turns out to be that
Hmm.
when it comes out of him, and that's another thing is the scene where they're sitting around and they're eating, and he thinks everything's okay. The only one that doesn't really think it's, if you notice, if you watch Ash, the science officer, as you were saying. But if you notice, he's like paying very close attention to the guy. He knows way more than what he's letting on.
Well, I mean, we could tell that right off the bat because even before the face hugger falls off him and he's not okay, when he's
Yeah,
in like basically a coma and they're examining him, Ash is imaging this guy and he doesn't want anyone else to see what he's seeing.
yeah, yeah. Which obviously the thing implanted the alien in him, and well, it was on his face, and so he was. And that's another thing is what you really find out about Ash is a lot of what he apparently has a lot of disdain for the humans, and looks at them, and but he's got a lot of fascination for this alien life form, and he's basically telling at one point when Sigourney Weaver questions him about what he's doing, he really starts speaking about his admiration for this thing, which it's admirable in the sense that it's a formidable opponent.
I
It
mean,
has
as he says, it's an almost perfect organism.
yeah, yeah, and it's got acid for I mean which, as one of them says, it's like pretty much a perfect defense, because good luck, you don't want to try to hurt the thing because
So,
it's
so
going to.
one of the things you can tell about this movie, one of the reasons this movie was so damn good
Yeah,
is because the people involved seriously thought about the movie. They did not just whip this out. They put
yeah,
serious thought into it. And one of those thoughts was giving a creature acid for blood, which prevented the crew from using any guns or projectile weapons that would
yeah.
cause it to bleed and damage the hull.
Well, the one time when they cut the thing that's around his neck, um, when that's choking him, um, when they cut it, it starts spraying acid, and it actually gets on the hull of the not the hull, but one of the ceilings, and it starts dripping down. It's cutting through the floor. It's they have to end up following it down to see how far it's going to go. They're worried it's going to breach the hull, and
Yeah, I had no idea what like I can understand them being worried and them following it, but I didn't see what their plan was
yeah,
for how to stop it in case they needed to. Like no one pulled out a chemical response kit or
right,
anything like that.
yeah. You would have thought that they would have tried to neutralize the acid with something, and no one really does. And so then when his this thing
Yeah.
comes out of the kind of penile uh, alien form there, and that's the other thing, it keeps changing form. It's metamorphosizing and taking on newer, bigger, stronger forms as it goes on. But they're basically, it's like having a squirrel loose on your on your ship. They're trying to chase the thing down. They end up having to make some makeshift uh, sort of weapons. They've got something that actually can shock it, and they've got a. I don't know whether that netting was going to work anyway because that seemed like a feeble. I thought to myself, that thing's going to cut right through that.
So in
Yeah,
this scene was done by having the actor's head poke up through the table
right.
and having a fake torso,
Yeah.
and the creature was going to burst through and was controlled by a puppeteer.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
And the actors knew this for the scene. What they did not know, what the director neglected to tell them or kept hidden,
yeah.
was when it was going to burst forth, jets of blood were going to spray everywhere.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
so the cast was genuinely shocked.
yeah, yeah,
The shock and dismay they demonstrate on camera is real because
yeah.
that caught them totally by surprise.
Well, it's there's a couple of little clips there where I saw, their reactions, and it is pretty strong. You can see them like they're pulling back. They're actually freaking out when the thing starts breaking through like that. So yeah, it's genuine react. There's one of the reaction scenes, and when it first starts happening, but yeah, there's a couple of places where you see like, oh my God, they're really they're, they're reeling back from it. But and that's the other thing is this we look back on how long ago this was made, and look how good the alien creatures actually were. It's amazing what they did, and even like with stuff like this, it's th- th- that's pretty realistic. And I remember seeing it, at the movies, and I was like, my God, that's a freaky, freaky alien. So yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think this was incredibly done for the time that it was done at too. And yeah,
So
that's the
this
other
is the
thing.
inspiration.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, and that was who was the artist that?
That's H.R. Geiger,
Yep, yep, yeah.
and I believe that is Necron. The title is Necrom 4.
Okay, yep,
And I can't remember who found it, if it was the director or the writer, but someone found this and they said, "Oh my God, we've got our alien."
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was like when I saw this movie, I immediately started thinking of like the Warren publishing magazines that did like 1994,
Hmm.
and and what was what was the other big magazine that had a lot of that art in it? It was
I mean, there was heavy metal,
Heavy Metal. Yes.
and there
Yep.
was 1999,
Yep. Yep.
and then for a while there was Omni.
Right. Yes. Omni. That was another big one. But like this here, when they come they had such cool imagery because when they come across this is like a fossilized alien here that apparently I think this guy actually was a victim of the alien if I had it right because
There are several theories. I don't think anything has been definitively said this is what happened.
yeah,
I've heard everything from he was a victim to he was going to use the eggs as a biological weapon against someone else.
yeah. Well, now that's another thing. We were talking about this just before we started, but I had asked you whether you watched because I own both the director's cut and the theatrical, and I had the theatrical in 4K on Vudu, and so I opted to watch that one rather than the high def version of the director's
Director's
cut.
cut.
So yeah, and I did do a little bit of looking into the differences, and there is definitely some differences, but honestly, I actually kind of felt because I watched some scenes on YouTube what you ought to do. What you usually are the one that adds the links for our videos, and if you add links, you ought to look up some links for the director's cut scenes because this is one of the scenes right that's behind me right here, and that's Dallas, and in the director's cut, she comes across Dallas, Veronica Cartwright. I can't think of her name at the moment in the movie, but she comes across two or three of them anyway, and they've all been there's been alien eggs apparently put inside of them, and they are in like really like Dallas is going kill me, kill, and she's like she starts to say Dallas, I'll get you out of this, and she's trying to tell him she's going to help him, and he's like, kill me, kill me, and she finally ends up lighting up, she had the like flamethrower thing, and she ended up burning him up, and that's how she ended up helping him, but that was one of the scenes I was, and there are people that have said, well, it does explain like what happened to them because they kind of just disappear, like you never see their bodies again.
Hmm.
Harry Dean Stanton, Veronica Cartwright, and Dallas, they all kind of disappear, and Yaphet Kotto, they all kind of like there's a scene where they all kind of get victimized, but you don't know what happened to them, and apparently that is what happened to him. So that was in the director's cut. I didn't feel that was needed. That scene was needed, and in some ways, I almost felt like that probably would have thrown the pacing of the movie off.
Well,
I
I
liked,
believe the original cut was like around 3 hours.
yeah, yeah. So, and that would have had to because I watched a scene where she is walking through. She's got the flamethrower. She's crawling through different places, and she finally comes down on this area where there they are. But I felt like that was actually a fairly long scene, and I don't know. I think that would have thrown the pacing off. I haven't really watched the full director's cut, and at some point maybe now I'll have to. but but yeah, I don't know. I just felt like the original theatrical cut was a pretty good cut, and I like how it all everything unfolded. So uh, now I was gonna say Veronica Cartwright's character of all of them, she was the one that probably annoyed me the most. Um, she kind of like she was like the weak link in the chain because um, she just kind of folded every time. And granted, this thing is scary as hell, so I get it, but at the
I
same
mean,
time,
it's not like anyone other than Sigourney Weaver mounted any sort of offense against this thing. I mean, Harry Dean
well,
Stanton
Yaphet
just
Kotto was
stared there.
yeah, Yaphet Kotto was pretty. He was pretty intent on getting the thing. I mean, when Sigourney first he's fighting Sigourney Weaver, and really fighting her hard about and she's trying to come up with a plan, and when she says, "Will you shut up and listen to me for a minute?" And he finally does, and she's talking about how she wants to get this thing trapped and then blow it out. So he goes, "If it involves killing it," he goes, I'm all for it." And so he gets on board, but he of course he's one of the ones, him and Harry Dean Stanton, they kind of fight everything that any of the other members of the crew suggest or want to do or whatever. But he gets on board on that because he wants to kill this thing, and as you kind of would, the damn thing. Who wants that thing? I mean, look at it behind you. I mean, who wants that thing aboard your ship? It's
Well, this guy did.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And that's the interesting thing about this movie. This is such a complex movie because yes, you've got this hideous alien creature that not only is going to kill you, but going to hatch its eggs in your body, which is
Yeah,
even more
yeah,
horrible than outright death.
yes,
But the real villain is the corporation.
yeah,
Wayland Yutani is the real villain in this
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because the alien's just doing its thing. It wasn't going to hunt them down if they had never landed.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it ends up because they come in contact with it. That's and again, you got this nut that a craze. There's nothing worse than if you're in space. I mean, 2001: A Space Odyssey. You learn that with with Hal and the guy trying to trying to sabotage the crew in 2001. But in this one, this guy is like all about this alien and his admiration for it. And even after this is Sigourney Weaver at first she thinks he's a just a science officer, and it's not until she actually tries to fight him that the guy turns into like Superman, and he's knocking her around. And again, Yaphet Kotto comes to her rescue because he's pretty much, beaten Sigourney Weaver down, and they manage to hurt him and knock his head off, which, but and this is the result. And they hook him back up, and they're asking him questions, and he's still even here when they're asking him questions, he's all smug. He keeps smiling and
But I think the smugness was programmed in.
yeah, it must have been. It really must have been.
The
But
coders went the extra mile and said, you know what, let's make this guy smug.
yeah, well, the actor. I mean, look at this is the actor years later, and he still has that same
Ian
smug
Holm.
look on his face. But I don't know. This was really well. Whoever did the casting for this, it was really well casted because everybody worked really well in their parts. Um, like I said, I probably found Veronica Cartwright's character the most annoying, but she was still realistic. I mean, she did. None of these people were really equipped. These weren't in Alien 2. When that at least they have some Marines. Not that they're real super effective against that alien, but at least they had some Marines in that one. But these people were not Marines. These are just, like as you pointed out earlier, they're just workers.
You know what one of the inspirations for this movie was? The
What's that?
writer for the screenplay was Dan O'Bannon, who
Okay.
also wrote the screenplay for another movie you may be familiar with, Dark Star.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
Dark Star is a comedy, sci-fi comedy, but after he wrote it, Dan O'Bannon said, you know what, that would work much better as a horror. And
Well,
so one of the inspirations for Alien was born.
yeah. There is some comedy in this movie, but it's kind of very lightly played. Now, in the second Aliens, the comedy was probably played up a little bit more, but it was I found that one a lot of humorous dialogue, but yeah, this one other than a few things with Harry Dean Stanton and Yaphet Kotto um, playing Parker and Brett. Those two sometimes just what they were doing, just being the dissenting characters on board. Um, but yeah, I love how even the cat was put up when I went looking for pictures of the cast, and even the cat got some, you know, got some billing there. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I got to tell you, like, this is, in my opinion, totally a layman's opinion.
yeah,
This is as close to a perfect movie as I've ever seen.
it's a pretty good movie, and it's pretty damn well done. So yeah,
The casting is great, as you mentioned. The writing, the storytelling is tight. The sets are amazing.
well, I'll tell you what I'll tell you what, they are amazing. And I'll tell you what, when when I talk about like I love sci-fi, but unfortunately there's not a lot of good science fiction movies out there. I mean I say that there are,
There's a
but
lot. It's just that there's so many other bad ones.
there's so many bad ones, and there's so few like really good ones. And this is one of those ones that when you talk about,
And this isn't just sci-fi. This is a sci-fi horror, which is
yes,
notably rare.
yeah, yes, absolutely. I did have to point out the Nostromos is probably the most unwieldy, and that does go back to the fact that yes, they are carting back, or I guess it's some kind of ore that's been mined off of a planet. But it's such a look at it. It's such an unwieldy
Yeah, but
vessel,
the thing is you don't need to be aerodynamic in space.
No, you don't, and that's one of the things that's true. That's very true.
I
It's
mean,
not.
depending on what sort of engine you're using, depending on how you're propelling the ship through space, it could be almost of any shape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because once it's launched and you have it unfolded into space for the travel, um, even if you were traveling fast, the only thing that the only thing that you're really concerned with maybe is getting hit by debris in space, which can be a real a real problem. But that's another thing is I actually thought like the uniforms that they're wearing on board the vessel, they're actually not too far off from what astronauts right now are wearing when they're up on a space station, or whether it's SpaceX or
Oh
whatever
my
it
God,
is.
suits, the
Yeah.
suits they had them wear in this movie were heavy, they were bulky, and they were nylon lined with
Oh,
almost no breathing room. So
yeah.
people were passing out. Like they had nurses on set ready with oxygen.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. And that's something that I don't know whether, people like nowadays, younger people, I should say, realize about like when you're talking about like the late 70s, early 80s, the materials that people had to wear or were wearing, the synthetics even, were not like this. They weren't the breathable, um, modern synthetics of today, or blends or whatever. You look at what basketball players wear nowadays. They're lighter. I mean, basketball players back in the late 70s, 80s, they were still wearing cotton, and it would get soaked, become heavier, and just cling to your body and feel completely uncomfortable. And you don't have that, and even when they were wearing synthetics, they weren't like the synthetics of today. We're blessed with what we have for material now. So, but yeah, and again, getting back to the vessel, yeah, look at this vessel is like super well designed. But yeah, it's quite a it's quite a craft that they're on. It's um, the whole, and that's the other thing is there's so many looks to what like different parts of the ship when they're down in the engineering areas. Those look more like um, that artist. What it already went out of my head
Geiger.
again. Yes, it looked more like an Iger painting rather than the eating areas that you see like behind me right there, where it's kind of comfortable living spaces. So all of that stuff blends together and gives you this full immersive thing. You really feel like you're on a vessel floating through space, which is another thing. That's scary in itself. It's not like it's not like you're in an area where you can really call and get help. They're isolated. It's like they're relying on themselves to get their asses out of this problem.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't take much going wrong for it to be catastrophic.
yeah, yeah. Which is exactly if you were floating on a spaceship through space and something goes wrong, you're gonna have to get your own ass out of trouble because there's no one, you can't call back home to Earth and go, hey, can somebody come out here and help us? Nobody's
So,
coming,
so this guy behind me is the alien.
Yeah, yeah, and something I didn't even realize that that's how. I mean, I had no idea how it was like animated or whatever, but yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to butcher the name, but this is Bolaji Bidejo.
okay.
He was a graphic design student from
Wow,
Nigeria.
wow, really,
And
really.
someone just saw him in a pub one night. This guy is 6'10".
Holy shit! Wow, wow.
Ridley Scott, when he first started conceiving of this movie, wanted to use animatronics. He wanted to hide the alien for as much as possible because he didn't want to just ruin it for the audience with some cheesy thing once you see it.
Yeah,
But he was picturing animatronics. But at the time, technology was not that good, and the
no,
animatronics weren't that good. And so it was an issue until they found this guy.
huh, huh.
And once they found him and got him on board, they sent him to both mime classes and Tai Chi classes
Wow,
to learn
wow.
how to move like the alien.
Damn, damn. So how tall was he again?
6'10".
Wow. Yeah, damn.
This is his only movie credit. He's never been in anything else.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty good movie credit. It's, I mean, it's pretty cool. Um, Believe me, the alien design is is what made this movie. The alien was just, the mouth opening, the whatever that acidy saliva or whatever the hell it was drooling out of his mouth. It was
Mm-hmm.
creepy as hell.
Oh
When
yeah,
that thing is,
the design of this was just peerless.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you've got that thing like staring at you and you're in close quarters with that thing, it's freaky. And
Oh yeah.
all the scenes where that happens, you're just like, oh my God, you think to yourself, what's gonna make you like freeze up where you can't react, you don't know, but that would probably do it. It's that thing is just drop dead scary. I can, as much as I was bitching about Veronica Cartwright's character being like there's a scene where Yaphet Kotto is saying to her, "Move, like just move out of the way." He wants to kill it. I think he's going to try to spray it with the flamethrower, and she's just frozen. She can't move. But
I have no doubt that if I actually saw something like this, I would wet myself. There's
yeah,
no
it's
doubt in my mind.
well, it's funny because I've always heard people say like oh, I'd shit myself or I'd piss myself, and I mean I've had times where I've had something bad happen that frightened me. I've never done that. I've never come close to it, but this probably could do it. This is something on that level that it's like, yeah, probably you probably might, you know. So
So here's a little piece of trivia.
sure,
When this was being pitched to
yeah,
studios, to theaters, things like that, when you pitch something, you have seconds to do it.
right.
So this ended up being described as it's Jaws in space.
Well, and
It's not a
that's
bad description.
no, no, because that is kind of, I mean, they always describe sharks as being like this swimming killing machine that just is constant from the time it's born. It's all it's doing is swimming and eating, and anything that it strikes as being like food for a shark, it's going to eat. And this thing is not quite that, but it's pretty close to it. So
It's funny. This thing, Alien, has turned into such an empire. And I don't know
yeah,
what else to call it. It's got to have at least 7 movies to its credit. It's got comic books, it's got video games, there are toys.
yeah,
Like it's become such a big thing. that I don't know who the genius was that said, we got to match this guy up with Predator.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Alien versus Predator. Yeah,
Which I gotta say, I have seen every Alien Predator movie that I could get my hands on. They're all disappointing. It is so sad.
yeah, yeah. It is. And I'll tell you what. When you talk about and what I just said I earlier about sci-fi and like so few sci-fi movies that actually really tickle my fancy, if you want to put it that way. But um but um Predator was one of the movies that it was a fantastic movie.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought that was so well done. I love the fact that the alien is actually invisible. He's got a cloaking device on. There's and it's humans with relatively really primitive weapons that are going up against this thing, and he's hunting them and killing them one by one. And and then Schwarzenegger, of course, uh, decides to really go full on animal with the thing. But
Not to not again, not to shift movies,
yeah,
but have you seen Predator Prey? The Predator
um,
movie set in like the 1800s Old West.
no, I heard of that, but I have not. No, I have not seen it. I did
I,
hear of it,
I, I
but
haven't seen it yet either, but Predator itself has become its own empire, and I love how they've shown that alien visiting Earth at multiple historical periods, and like it being
uh,
it being the same but also different
yeah,
based on the period in each movie.
yeah. Well, and yeah, and if you think about like, say, setting that in the old West, things were so much more primitive as far as weaponry and even just our understanding of science. So yeah,
But
that would
but that's the thing about Predator is like Alien Alien is a pure animal. It exists to survive and grow and reproduce.
right.
And it's got a purity that's gorgeous. Um, but Predator, it's not
You're as
only
bad as Ash.
intelligent, it's got an honor code.
Yeah,
So like you could it would be fighting a primitive species, it would drop to its level.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is true. Now, this is something I did have to point out. Sigourney Weaver and that damn cat. I, I'm not a huge cat person, but I mean, I like cats. There's been plenty of cats that our families had and that I've been around that I really liked. I'm not a huge cat person, but I'll tell you what, she kept trying to get that cat. It was like, I know it was scared. But it kept biting at her. It was clawing, and she was making this real effort to get this cat. And all I could think of is if I had this thing going on, I mean, not to say you just want to sacrifice the cat, but at the same time, it's like I'd be more worried about getting my ass
Oh
into
yeah,
that.
that cat would definitely be at the bottom of the priority list.
Absolutely. And it's not like I said, not that you're trying to be mean or cruel to an animal, but it's like, I'm sorry, but it was I mean, it's almost every man for himself in the when it comes to your fellow humans, you're trying to get people on board and everything and help them out, but at the same time, it's like you've got to try to blow this ship and get off of it. This thing is a deadly killing machine. And if you don't get and so it's like the last thing I'd be doing is trying to look for a cat. Yeah. To me, it's like, well, if the cat makes its way to the pod, all's well and good. But, but, um, but yeah. So hey, I give her full praise for managing to save the thing. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you have to have your priorities. So,
Yeah,
but
I don't know where the cat came in. Like,
yeah,
I
I
realize that like cats are tradition on ships because they control rats.
yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe given everyone's made the connection from spaceships to sailing ships on the open sea.
Yeah, yeah,
But other than
uh,
that, I'm like, are you really going to have rats on there?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. To tell you the truth, people always talk about if no matter what happens, like if man destroys this planet, there's still going to be rats and cockroaches running around.
They will, but that's a planet. This is a ship that you can like
Yeah.
you can purge of all oxygen and leave it like
Yeah.
complete
But
vacuum for days and then bring the crew on with an atmosphere.
right. Well, you know, I almost feel like as long as man is living in some place that there's going to be somehow or other cockroaches and rats are going to get on board. But especially the longer you're in space, that's the other
Right.
thing.
If you're taking on cargo, I get it.
Yeah, and that's probably how something like that might come. But I don't know. I have a feeling the cat was there more for their. It was a pet. It was something that they gave him comfort. But so then they get to the pod, or she gets to the pod because everybody's dead. She manages to get to the pod, and damned if that thing doesn't get into the pod. And yeah, she and this is one of the things that the movie, the only criticism I really have ever heard of this movie is that Sigourney Weaver strips down. um, but I didn't really feel it was that gratuitous. There were people that went on about it's like, oh well, she didn't need to. I didn't feel like they were. You see her, she strips down, but I don't feel like they were like just playing on. I feel like it was just a scene, and
Yeah, I feel if I have any complaint about anything, it's
yeah,
the costuming. I would assume in space, I mean, this looks like a cotton tank top. I would think that
yeah,
if you're in space and having to don like a zero atmosphere uniform, you
yeah,
would have some more futuristic fabric covering you.
yeah. Well, of course, that was kind of the fabric that they had back then at the time,
Right.
and then the other thing is I do feel I'll probably get slammed for this, but chicks are going to be chicks. They're going to be feminine and be pretty, and they're going to, or not so much feminine and be pretty, but they're going to wear stuff that they feel is not only comfortable, it flatters them too. So so yeah, I don't know. You'd have to ask a chick what she wants to wear for, say, underwear underneath a uniform. Just maybe make them feel good. But but yeah, like I said, I didn't feel it was that they really dwelled on. She was. There's a couple of seconds there where she's in, and where she strips down, but she just got out of some clothes that she probably had sweated right through, especially with that damn alien on. And she was finally in a place where she started to feel safe and comfortable. And then the damn alien shows up right inside of there, which I found that was, to me, that was probably one of the more scary scenes. She's all alone, and this damn thing is on board with her. And
And
how she
she's got
man
almost nothing that can touch it.
no, no, and it's like, how do you fight back? And it's ingenious what she does. She
Mhm.
gets into one of the suits so that she can actually breathe and survive, and she blows the thing right out right out into space. So it's a hell of a way to wrap the thing up. And like today, a lot of movies they just won't let something die. It just keeps going on, or it comes back, or it ends with a thing like, oh, the alien still got her. She still manages to beat the damn thing, but it left you with one last scene of, oh my God. so,
Yeah,
so
it was a great ending, and they've still continued it. They've continued it to this day. I mean,
yeah,
I have seen Aliens,
yeah,
Alien 3,
yeah,
unfortunately,
I
Alien
know.
Resurrection, Prometheus, Covenant. I haven't seen Alien Romulus yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet either. But you know, the only one of the ones that I've seen, the only one that I actually can say that I didn't like was Alien 3. And
Alien 3 was such a disappointment. It's funny. Alien 3 came out when I was living in Davis, California. I didn't
yeah,
know many friends, and I didn't know anyone that was into movies.
yeah,
And this came to the theater. I was so excited. Alien 1, Aliens, they were
yeah,
such great movies. I'm like, I cannot wait to see Aliens 3. Went by myself to the theater to see it. And
yeah,
I was like, what did I just watch?
yeah, yeah. No, it to me it was totally disappointing. One of the things that I remember is the you know because you always had that feeling like with Alien 1 and 2, you always had this feeling of dread. This thing was going to get you, and they totally. I've said this right from the beginning when I saw it, but um, as soon as you realize that she's carrying an alien egg inside of her, she's a host. The alien is not going to hurt her because of the fact that she's carrying the egg. So she's safe. And as soon as you realize that, it's there's no scare. She's pretty much free to roam about, and this thing is not going to hurt her. It's going to kill
Although
everybody.
the crux of the plot there is how is this going to resolve? Because unless she does something, she's dead. The
Yeah,
alien still wins. The alien still kills her.
yeah, yeah. But the whole point of that though is that the alien didn't want to kill her
Well, not
because
that one, but the one inside her was going to.
yes, yes,
So how is that going to resolve?
yeah. But yeah, like I said, that part, I was less worried about that than I was the thing that was running around killing everybody else, except her. And since she was the main character, she's the one that you're concerned with, and you finally realize like, well, she's completely safe. So when you realize that, it's like took away the scare for me, and it also it made the movie less interesting. So, and I just don't think the overall plot was that good. I
Oh no,
thought,
no. It's funny. There were so many good, talented people attached to that movie, and
yeah,
it was horrible.
yeah, they didn't use people well at all. They did not use the cast that they had or anything. I mean that guy that was in I can't think of his name right now, but he was in that the TV show Rock for one thing. Um, it was the bald headed dude there. He was
You're talking about Forrest Whitaker, are you?
no, I don't think it's no, not Forrest Whitaker. It's he was the bald headed dude. He played Rock on the TV show Rock. Um, but anyway, yeah, like I said, I just felt like the that movie was flat, and they picked it right back up again. I some people didn't like the one with Winona Ryder. I thought that was well done. I thought there was
I
some
actually
funny.
really liked that. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, yeah, it was, and I thought there were a lot of. I mean, that scene where that because he's got that guy and it's strapped on his back, and he's climbing up the ladder, and the little dude in his back's going like, "Oh shit!" Like this thing's coming
Well, there was
coming up
that. There was
after us.
the alien underwater that was new.
Yeah, yeah.
The
There was
the the Queen
there
was something new.
yeah. That I thought that was terrific. I really
Yeah, I
did.
agree. I agree. Loved it. I
Yeah,
know a lot of people don't. A lot of
yeah,
people have problems with that movie. I
yeah.
love it.
I love it too, and I have zero problems with it. It entertained the hell out of me, and when I saw that, I was and when I found out that some people were criticizing the movie, I thought, well, criticize it, but I liked it. You know,
Yeah, people like what they like.
yeah, yep,
I'm
but
sure we've presented a lot of movies on this channel that others are
sure,
like, what?
oh
Why
yeah,
did they like that?
but I mean, just getting to the thumbs up part, my thumbs aren't showing well, but but it's the easily two thumbs up. I would give it 5 thumbs up if I
Yeah,
could.
it's hard to think of a movie I would rate higher than this.
Yeah. Yep. It's extremely good. Extremely good. And it's spawned a lot of sequels that were easily, I don't know about as good, but they certainly were up on par with this. This has been a great franchise.
Yep.
I
For
every time.
those of you watching at home, if you've got Hulu or FX on Hulu, the new series Alien Earth is going to be coming out sometime
Oh,
soon.
I'll have to check that out myself. Yeah. As always, I'm sure you're going to leave links in the.
Oh, I'm gonna leave. I've got so many links. I've got the making of. A high school did a play
Wow,
based
really?
on Alien, and I've got video highlights from the play.
Damn, nice, very nice.
But yeah, I
Um,
think I think we can put this to bed. I could say days of stuff about this movie, but I think we've said what needs to be said.
yeah, I think so too. I think it's again terrific movie for anybody that if you haven't seen it, as Dom said earlier, yeah, he was saying I'd be surprised if anyone hasn't seen this one, but it's possible that you haven't seen it. But yeah, I think we could probably just say, please leave a like and subscribe too. If you haven't seen it, definitely see it. Um, if you better like horror movies because it will it will make you.
This is a freaky movie.
It's a freaky movie. It's
This
it's
is a tense movie.
well, and again, coming from, we're both jaded horror movie
We are
fans,
both jaded horror fans.
and this one is a movie that actually, I mean, I just recently watched this again, and I was like, wow, there's some creepy scenes in this movie. It still makes me feel that wow, it's unnerving. A lot of fun. If you love sci-fi or if you like sci-fi, you're gonna like this. It's really good. But please, if you would, leave a like and subscribe, leave a comment.
Yeah,
Let us
but
know.
before we leave, it's your choice next. Have you
Yep.
chosen a movie?
I actually do have one, and this is an older one. Um, I don't know whether you've seen this one before. Um, and I do own it on Vudu, so a good place to watch it. But you can, anybody that, I'm not sure what other places you can watch this on, but anybody that hasn't seen this one that I'm gonna suggest for our next week, check it out. It should be around and available. It's called, and I'm picking this one because we're kind of kicking off summer. And this one, actually, I believe this one maybe takes place on, what's the, I always get Labor Day and Memorial Day. Memorial Day is the one that kicks
It's the
off
one that
summer.
kicks off summer, I think.
Yeah, and Labor Day is the one that ends. I actually think it's probably Labor Day that this is around. But either way, to me, it's a movie that you could use for, because it's a hot summer day. The movie stars, it's a lot of well-known, it's a well-known cast.
Mike, just
Um,
give me the title.
Olivia de Havilland is the star. Um, Lady in a Cage.
Okay,
Do you know what one I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Uh,
If I've seen it, it's been so long ago, I do not remember it, but I
yep,
know of the movie.
it's a young James Caan is in this movie.
Hmm.
Jennifer Billingsley's in it. There's a number of well-known people that are in this movie, but I think I named off three of the big ones, but there's more. But the I won't even get into the plot, but it's a takes place holiday weekend. Olivia de Havilland gets trapped in her own personal elevator, and that's all I need to say. But if you guys haven't seen it, it's kind of horror-esque. Um, it's it's definitely a dark movie. A lot of freaky stuff going on. There's some stuff that you could actually call comedy, but it's dark,
Well,
very dark comedy.
let's save the discussion for next week.
Sure, sure, but that's my pick for next week, and I think it's perfect for kicking off the summer. So yeah, um, anybody hasn't seen it, check it out and then tune into our discussion. So Lady in a
Yeah, I'm
Cage.
sure we'll have lots to say.
Yeah. Oh, we will. We will. You cannot not say a lot about this movie because there's some crazy stuff that happens. So, yep, I think with that being said, I think we can probably wrap this one up. We covered Alien pretty good. Good pick, Dom. Once again, you've had some really good picks.
Love the
Uh,
movie.
so yeah, yeah, me too. This is a big favorite of mine. So yeah, Dom, I will see you next week, and everybody out there in YouTube land, we'll see you next week.
Yep. See everyone.
Take care.